Welcome, everyone. We are very excited about our program today. I want to get started because we do have quite a few people to introduce to you today and recognize as well. My name is Carol Spivey. I am the lead counsel for the Tourism and Hospitality Council. I'm also the director of sales and marketing for the DoubleTree. I am very, very happy to be here with you today. And this morning's main priority is the St. John's County Chamber of Commerce, Attainable Housing in St. Johns County. That's a lot to say very early in the morning, so bear with me. And we will hear from Caitlin Coral, Bill Lazar, and Melinda Everson today. So thank you for being here with us. First, I would like to introduce our sponsors today. We do have quite a few, so please give them your attention. We also have quite a few things on the table, so a lot of treats and information, so please check that out and enjoy. And I would like to first recognize the AC Hotel who donated the space, so thank you so much. If Gabby can come right on now.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much. We are so appreciative to be here, supporting our community, supporting the chamber, and supporting this really important topic. I think it affects all of us in this room and all of us in our community. So thank you so much for the support and showing up for that. I'm really excited to learn more about what our community is doing. A little bit about our property. We are the newest hotel in downtown St. Augustine with the most amount of rooms at 142 and the only true waterfront. So very exciting things to come. We are the first of projects that are happening in this area. Hopefully by the end of this year, we'll have our marina built out. So very exciting stuff, but please join us. Hang out at our bar, come to one of our events. Totally plugging my National Puerto Rican Day event this Sunday. We hope to see you there. Thank you all again.
Thank you, Gabby. And we also like to recognize our sponsor today, which is Amy Percerelli with the Percerelli Group.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Carol. Good morning, everyone. Thank you to the Chamber for the opportunity to be here today as presenting sponsor. For those of you that I haven't met, my name is Amy Percerelli with Percerelli Group, where we provide fractional and strategic HR support across the full employee life cycle. Recruiting, hiring, employee relations, succession planning, you get it. Everything really from A to Z when you think of HR. Our tagline is "We love HR, so you don't have to." I think that resonates with a lot of people that do not love HR. 35 years in the industry, not ending anytime soon. One of the things, though, that I value about working in HR is it gives me the opportunity to work with business owners, employees, job seekers, and organizations throughout the community. It gives me that direct view into many of the challenges people navigate every day. I'm not the expert on housing by any stretch of the imagination, but I know that it affects all of us deeply in one way or the other. So when it affects people, it ultimately affects businesses, employers, employees throughout. And that's one of the reasons I'm especially glad to be here today. I'm looking forward to hearing all of the speakers, and thank you again for the community and for the hotel for being a sponsor today. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce to you our sponsor from Ameris Bank, Nidra Nash. Good morning.
Good morning, Carol. Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone. I am Nedra Nash with Ameris Bank. My retail team and commercial team are also here from Ameris Bank. Ameris Bank, affordable housing. We are all in on affordable housing, working with different partnerships, working with different down payment assistance programs. We actually did over 50 loans in low to moderate income properties last year. So we're all in, definitely trying to find different opportunities, different down payment assistance programs to help with the current crisis that we're in. Thank you so much for having me.
And we have Scott Rock with Rocket Solutions as a sponsor as well. Welcome, Scott.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
All right, for those of you that haven't met me yet, my name is Scott Rock, founder of Rocket Solutions. We're a veteran-owned, and I know Chris is recording this, so I'll hold the mic so he gets the audio. We're a veteran-owned managed IT and cybersecurity company based right here in St. Johns County. We've been in business for 15 years. First of all, thank you to the Chamber, the Tourism and Hospitality Council, and the historic St. Augustine Area Council for putting this conversation in front of the business community. A place to call home is not just a housing conversation. It's a conversation about workforce and economic development. And frankly, it's a conversation about who we want to be as a community. At Rocket, we work with businesses and nonprofits across the county, healthcare, hospitality and tourism, professional services, personal services, manufacturers, and mission-driven organizations that are doing the hard, unglamorous work that keeps people stable, safe, housed, and employed. One of those organizations is the St. John's Housing Partnership. Mr. Bill Lazar is their leader, and they work repairing homes, improving safety, helping seniors, veterans, working families, and that often determines whether someone gets to stay in the community or whether they have to leave. And that should matter to every business owner in this room. Because if people who teach our kids, serve our guests, care for our parents, staff our restaurants, repair our homes, answer our phones, and support our local economy can't afford to live here, then we don't have a housing problem over there. We have a business problem right here. Rocket's lane is tech. We protect businesses, secure systems, support compliance, and help organizations keep running when the wheels start wobbling. But the longer I've been in business, the more I've learned that infrastructure is not just servers, networks, firewalls, and cloud infrastructure. Housing is infrastructure. People can't show up to work consistently if they don't have a stable place to sleep. Families can't thrive every month if a math problem they are slowly losing. Employers can't grow if the workforce keeps getting priced further and further away from the jobs that we need filled. So I'll keep it simple. I'm here today proud to support this event because this conversation is not theoretical. It affects our clients, it affects my employees, it affects the nonprofits that we serve, and it affects the future of St. Johns County. My hope is that today we listen closely, ask real questions, and resist the urge to treat attainable housing like someone else's issue, because it's not. It belongs to all of us. So thank you to Bill Lazar, Melinda Everson, Caitlin Quarles, the Chamber, and everyone here willing to engage in this conversation. My name's Scott with Rocket Solutions. We protect the house, you run the business.
It's great, Scott. Thank you. Next, we have our next sponsor is Community Hospice and Palliative Care with Charlene Beamer.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Community Hospice and Palliative Care is so proud to be able to sponsor this event. And Community Hospice is a true nonprofit organization. We've been serving this community since 1979, and we are mission-oriented, as our presenters are today. Making sure that we have attainable housing in this county is important. And our mission is to make sure that patients and families have the best quality of care and to be a compassionate guide for everyone in our community. We also have a pediatric program, which a lot of people don't think of that with a hospice program, but our hospice peds care program provides support to children with life-limiting illnesses or children born with disabilities that are going to need a lot of support during their life. And we work with patients prenatal to age 21 in that program. And yesterday we had the ribbon cutting for the Dorian Family Pediatric Center in St. Augustine. And this is a great center where children with those needs and their families have great location for activities, for counseling, and to really have a place to find peace and comfort during difficult times. So it really does take a village of people to support our community, and we're proud to also be able to do that, and very grateful to our speakers here today for everything that they are doing to support the community and for our awesome chamber. Thank you.
Thank you. We also have a sponsor with St. Augustine Airport, Linda Santiago. You're welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome, and on behalf of the St. Johns County Airport Authority and our Board of Directors, I'd like to sincerely thank each and every one of you for being here today. We recognize the importance of today's discussion and the impact the efforts have on our community. The progress we make is possible because of the dedication, collaboration, and commitment of so many individuals in this room. So I, again, thank you for being here and wish you a fantastic day and a wonderful weekend. Thank you.
And last but not least, our last sponsor is Compass Self-Storage. They weren't able to be here with us, but we wanted to recognize them as well. Next, so let's give an applause to all of our great sponsors before we move on. Thank you. Thank you so much. We truly appreciate your continued support. And next we have up for you is a video. If you pay close attention to the screen.
St. Johns County, there are so many reasons we love to call it home. Our high quality of life here is a source of great pride. But for many of the folks who are the foundation of our community, calling St. Johns County home is just not an option. Workers in our key industries teach us, nurse us, serve us in restaurants, keep us safe, and contribute to the vibrancy of our economy. But these pivotal members of our community are having to find work elsewhere. Population growth, changing demographics, short-term rentals, and investors are all impacting the demand for attainable housing. Zoning, ordinances, and the cost of land and construction have impacted our affordable supply of housing. The median home price is simply not attainable for much of our workforce. Your student's favorite teacher makes roughly $48,000 a year. That's less than a third of the required annual income needed to afford a home in our county. A rental home would only be affordable with combined salary income. And even then, only 3% of our rental market is attainable for our neighbors in these fundamental jobs. The bottom line is that these factors are leading to a negative impact on our quality of life, like more traffic and longer commute times, hardships like proximity to childcare, and more stress on workers and families, as well as diminished services like longer wait times at restaurants. We need your support. You can sign on to the Attainable Housing Coalition to endorse smart solutions so the ones who help our community thrive can also call St. Johns County home. Sign on today by scanning the QR code and visiting sjcchamber.com/attainable-housing.
All right. So we know how important this topic is, and we have some great speakers to be able to provide you more information on the status of St. Johns County. We will today have all speakers, the presenters speak, and then we'll take the questions after. Our first speaker is Caitlin Quarles, and an advocate for attainable housing in St. Johns County and Habitat for Humanity homeowner. She is a 7th generation St. Johns County resident and has strong roots in St. Augustine. May I have Caitlin come to the front? Thank you, Kate.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me today. Thank you to the Chamber and the Tourism and Hospitality Council for giving me this opportunity to speak today, as well as my panelists for being here with me and helping us advocate for something that we so direly need in this community. So I am Caitlin Quarles. I am a 7th generation resident of St. Johns County, a mother of 2, and as of September, a proud homeowner for Habitat for Humanity. Thank you. So throughout my life, I've worked in professions that serve our community. I've worked in food service, customer service, and hospitality. I've worked in nonprofit crisis services, supporting survivors and vulnerable populations. I've worked with individuals experiencing homelessness, and today I work in early childhood education. Like many members of our workforce, my career has always centered around others and serving the community. As I mentioned in the video with the project that I did with the Chamber previously, my path to homeownership felt like an uphill battle for many years. The combination of Habitat for Humanity and the Ship Down Payment Assistance Program gave me an opportunity that I did not think would be available to me, just like many other members in our community. Because of these programs, I now have something to leave to my children in the place where generations of my family have lived, worked, and are buried. That means more to me than I can put into words. As a lifelong resident, I've watched housing costs change dramatically over time. In 2012, I lived on Cordova Street in downtown St. Augustine. I could see the Casa Monica from my balcony, and my rent was $600 a month. Today, finding housing anywhere near that price point is nearly impossible for many working families. I've watched housing costs rise much faster than wages, making it increasingly difficult for our local residents to remain in the communities that they grew up in. My own story reflects many of the challenges that our workforce families face every day. In 2021, my struggles with accessing housing accelerated when I was renting a home from an individual homeowner who decided to sell. I was given 60 days notice to move out while raising my children as a newly single mother. At that time, I was working overnight shifts at a local rehabilitation center from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., and often going directly to a second job after that shift because one income was not enough to support my family. Like so many working families, I wasn't failing to work hard enough. I was working constantly. The challenge wasn't effort, it was affordability. Despite those circumstances, I managed to find an apartment and pull together the money needed to move in August of 2021. My rent was $850 at that time. When I left that apartment in 2025, my rent had increased to $1,600 per month. My income had not doubled. In fact, I was still working as an essential worker, earning less than $40,000 annually, and relying on a second job to make ends meet. For years, working 2 jobs wasn't a choice, it was the only way to survive. And even when I was doing everything right, homeownership still fell out of reach until I began the process with Habitat for Humanity. I completed the required classes, I completed volunteer hours, I saved for closing costs, and prepared for homeownership. But there was one question that kept coming up. What happens when someone's lease ends before their closing date? What happens when a family has done everything that they were supposed to do, but they still need a temporary place to live while waiting for a home to close? How does a member of our workforce come up with first month's rent, last month's rent, and a security deposit, while a short-term rental while also preparing to purchase a home? These are the types of barriers that don't always show up in statistics, but they can completely derail a family's path to stability. Today, I am fortunate. I am standing here as a homeowner because organizations in this community work together to create pathways that made homeownership possible. Habitat for Humanity provided one solution. The SHIP program provided another. The Chamber itself has advocated for workforce housing initiatives and solutions that support our working families. But my experience also showed me how difficult the housing market remains, even when assistance is available. When I learned that I would receive down payment assistance through the county, I worked with a private realtor as well as Habitat. Just like any person, I wanted to explore my options and make sure that I was making the best decision for my family. Even with $100,000 down, I apologize. Even with $100,000 down towards a down payment program on property, there was nothing that I could feasibly put my family into outside of the Habitat for Humanity program. It was the only solution for me and my family. And that reality should concern all of us. If members of our workforce are spending more than 30% of their income on housing, homeownership will continue to feel impossible. Even as organizations lower barriers to entry and create assistance programs, we still need affordable housing options that work for our working families and that they can access easily. I am not here today as a housing expert. I am here as someone whose life was directly impacted by this situation. I'm here to add my story to the conversation and put a face to the numbers that we often discuss. The experts on this panel are people I've looked to for solutions, and they have helped me provide one for me and my children. My hope is that we continue finding ways to create these opportunities for others, because the people who teach our children, and care for our seniors, serve our meals, respond to the crisis, staff our businesses, and keep our community running, deserve the opportunity not just to work here, but to live here, and to be able to call this community home. So thank you. I'm Caitlin Quarles.
Just one moment, Caitlin. Do anyone have any questions for Caitlin? Oh, that's okay. Anyone?
How did you find the Habitat for Humanity program?
One of my coworkers recommended it to me, and I had the application, I filled it out, it was sitting in my desk. They had brought it to my attention. I was so worried about maybe the fear of rejection and starting that process because I had hit so many uphill battles, and renting itself was difficult enough. It felt like an impossible challenge. So it sat in my desk for about 6 months before I finally gathered up the courage, and I realized that the worst thing that they could tell me was no. So I heard about it thankfully through a resource that someone else had heard. So I think, again, just the awareness of what these programs are, that's one solution that we can all bring to the table at the end of this meeting today, is maybe informing our employees, our family members. I'm sure someone in this room knows someone else that's struggling with housing.
Great. Anyone else?
I just want to say that your testimonial was impactful and beautiful.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. You guys are so
Our second speaker, thank you. Our second speaker is Melinda Everson of the Habitat for Humanity, St. Augustine, St. John County. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Melinda, please come and tell us about the background and give us some information on the Habitat for Humanity.
Thank you. Is there a clicker? If you just look at me. Okay. Happy Friday, everybody. Thank you guys for coming out early this morning. I do want to introduce real quick a couple of members of my team. So if at the end you have questions, you can also hunt them down. Julie, would you raise your hand? That's Julie Westling. She's our community outreach person. Tom Toretta is our fundraising guru, but they also have all the answers to our program. And well, if not, we can figure it out. Yeah. So just a little bit about me. Executive Director for Habitat for Humanity here in St. Johns County for 9 years. I was also the Executive Director at a Habitat for Humanity in Flint, Michigan, where I'm from. I moved here about 22 years ago. When I first moved here, I worked for Bill. I worked for Bill for about 1.5 years doing fundraising, and then went on to work at other nonprofits until this position opened again. I'm very passionate about housing. What can I say? We all know the problem is there, and I'm here to talk about solutions. We're one solution in this community. We're not the only solution. There's a lot of creative ways that we could be solving this problem, but again, Caitlin, thank you for sharing your story. There's many stories. So many of our homeowners come to us with stories from I'm couch surfing, I'm living in a van, to I'm a professional, I've graduated college, and I'm tired of living with 3 roommates, tired of living with my mom, it's time to be a grown-up. So, we have a wide range of people in our communities. As you see, we recently changed we're trying to reach out and let people know that we serve the community as a whole. We have increased our area median income requirements up to 120%. So we do serve people like firefighters, teachers, medical staff, nurses. So I'll go over the income guidelines further on in the presentation. Go ahead. So let's talk about the myths about Habitat for Humanity. We do not give away homes. Can you back up one? We do not give away homes. Our founder was not Jimmy Carter. We are a Christian ministry that was founded 50 years ago. We're faith-based, but you do not have to be of any faith. You can be of your own faith. We do not require that you be a Christian, non-Christian, Jewish. We do not proselytize. Our homeowners are all people who are working in the community. They have income, and at the end of their process of going through homeownership, they have a mortgage. So we do not give anything away. One of our key volunteers and a person who really put us on the map was Jimmy Carter. I don't know if you guys know that they do an annual Jimmy Carter Work Project, which is really exciting. And they host it in a different place every year. And that guy at 90-some years old had a heat stroke and then came back out the next day and was hammering nails. He and Rosalind really, they lended their image to us and really got us known in the country. Another myth is that we bring down property values when we come in and build homes or build a community. We sell all of our homes at the appraised value. So that whole NIMBY factor, if you don't want us in our community, I don't know why, because we build a nice product and we sell our homes at appraisal. We, Habitat International, we are one of, can you back up one? It keeps jumping forward for some reason. Oh, forward, there we go. We are one of, I think, 900 affiliates in the country. We are in 90 countries across the world. We build all over the world. We were founded in 1976, and we've helped more than 13 million people. Locally, we are celebrating our 34th anniversary. Next year will be 35. Back up one. Our mission is we're seeking to put God's love into action. Habitat for Humanity brings people together to build homes, community, and hope. You can go ahead and jump forward. We started in 1992, and we have built 3 neighborhoods. We're working on our 4th. Have any of you driven up and down Volusia and you see our neighborhoods with those slanty roofs? That is our neighborhood, 36 homes in that neighborhood. We have built Hadley Village, Crawford Park, Canopy Oaks, also on Volusia Street. We have built 190 homes. We used to build 4 to 5 to 6 homes a year, whatever our budget would allow, and we have jumped to building 18 to 20 a year. This last 2 years, we really needed to respond to the need, and so we're going to keep growing from there. We would really love to be up to 30 homes in a couple of years. So our homes in Volusia Woods are priced at $248,000 and $278,000. I don't know of any other builder in the community outside of the townhomes that are being built that are priced under $300,000. So that we're lean and mean. We are a team of 8 people, and with the growth from 5 homes to 20 per year, we added 1 part-time staff person. We've been working hard to build 18 to 20 homes a year. So we all know the problem. The median cost of a home in St. Johns County has been anywhere from $510,000 up to like $580,000, depending on the year, the last several years. And the average rentals have gone crazy. Interest rates have went up, and as insurance have went up as well. Okay, you can jump ahead.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. So these are our guidelines to be eligible to own a Habitat home. You have to live or work in St. Johns County. You have to demonstrate some sort of need for housing. Are you renting? Are you couch surfing? Are you living in a home that isn't healthy or unsafe? Are you willing to partner and do some sweat equity hours to help build your home? Your credit score has to be a minimum of 580, and if you want to participate in the county SHIP program, 640 would be your credit score. And then ability to pay. That's the income guidelines, although ours has jumped up. We go by HUD. Our guidelines have went up. The single person can earn up to about $91,000 a year. So, it's a very reasonable scale for teachers or firefighters or two young people working in the workforce in our community. This is one of our homes in Volusia Woods, cute little house. We have 36 of these. Go ahead. This is the inside. If somebody wanted to come take a tour, if they're interested in homeownership, we're happy to go in and show them. We have one that's furnished. You can keep skipping through, yeah. We do this by partnering with a lot of local businesses. We get donations of washers and dryers. Back up one. Countertops. We've been very lucky and gifted. We've been gifted so many things to make this work. And we also partner with St. Johns County, City of St. Augustine to pull this all together. This is what we looked like in July of 2024 when we kicked off the first row of houses. This is what we look like on an aerial view today. And right now we have several homes available. We have a couple 3 bedrooms, a couple 2 bedrooms that are available. So if somebody were to apply for the program, it would take them about 6 to 8 weeks to close. Go ahead. What's next for us? Cypress Village is our next neighborhood development, and it is over off of Clay Street and King Street Extension near Murray Middle School. 17 homes we're going to be building, and these will all be 2 and 3 bedroom homes. In the meantime, between the 2 projects, Volusia Woods and Cypress Village, we'll be building 4 homes out in Vermont Heights, 2 homes off of Pearl Street, 2 and 3 bedrooms. And this is a project I'm super excited about. We bought a 32-acre parcel adjacent to Salomon Calhoun Center. That is going to be approximately 75 homes, and we're hoping to, on the right side there, as you see, there's some wetlands, hoping to make that like a passive recreation area for the homeowners to enjoy. And we're also working with some various architects and agencies to make this different than our previous neighborhoods. So our homes are going to look different. The design of the neighborhood is going to look different. Not all the homes are going to be the same. So we're super excited about this project. Ways you can help. Sponsor a Habitat for Humanity home. There is a program through the state of Florida called CCTCP. It's an acronym for Community Contributions Tax Credit Program. And we're happy to talk to you about that. Tom has a lot of information on that. You can sponsor a home as a business if you pay sales tax. And what happens is you do a donation of cash, which you get back 100% of that cash, and then you come out and volunteer. And so you've built a home, and we work with a local PR firm, and they will share the good news about you supporting a home. And we also have signs, and we just let the community know the good work that you're doing. You could also be a sponsor of our Women Build, Veterans Build. You could be an annual donor. Leave Habitat for Humanity in your estate plans. We have team building events that are a lot of fun. You can just volunteer on your own as an individual. And just share our information. We've left some things on the table. Also those little blue cards that you see that have our new image with the workers. Share those, give those out to somebody who you think may be interested in owning a home, this might be a good program for them. We're leaving those all around town, so people have our contact info, and there's information on the back of that card. This is on our CCTCP program, which it's a little more detailed. We'd be happy to talk to you about it. And the companies that locally have worked with us on this program, the Rain Tree Restaurant has, I think, sponsored 8 or 9 homes. O.C. White's about the same. St. Augustine Distillery has sponsored 6 homes. There we are at one of our dedications, a really joyous moment. Almost my favorite day. My favorite day is when we get to close and I get to hand over the keys. There's a lot of joy in that. 2 of our homeowners celebrating at their dedication. So again, we welcome you to come help us in this. This is going to take a community to solve this affordable housing issue. And I want to tell you, it is a privilege for me to get to do this work and to help people realize their dream of home ownership, but also the stability that it provides for their family. So again, we're happy to answer any questions. Does anybody have any right now? Yes.
What is the support like once the family gets into the home and then they're dealing with property taxes and the annual maintenance? Is there a support program for how to manage once you get into the home?
When we accept a partner in our program, they are assigned a mentor. We have a group of volunteer mentors. They're all homeowners themselves. They walk you through the program because there's a lot of questions about how do I get insurance and how do I maneuver this and that. They stay with you for 6 months after, and many of them have formed friendships with one another, so they're friends for life. But they're there to answer questions. But we're also a resource. If there's something you don't understand or know, you can come into our office. As far as maintaining the home, it's your home, but we also have education as part of our program, finance and home ownership. We do educate our homeowners on what that means. So I think you are equipped once you do become a homeowner, and if you're not, we're still here for you. Yes?
I can't help myself. I just joined the board in the last month. Sold 17 houses last year. My name's Ed Dwyer. The only reason why I didn't sell more is we couldn't find buyers. The awareness doesn't exist in this county. Thank you. Told a perfect story. That's our, we could build 30. We could sell 30. It's not a problem, the lack of land, the lack of houses, the lack of awareness about the program. So please take this and let's change that today.
Yes, please share this information. And also one of our other board members, Lisa, is here, so thank you guys for coming out today. Yes?
Or kind of extra support for someone who's kind of maybe borderline credit or they don't understand their credit.
Yes.
Maybe the goal they're going to work toward in the next year, maybe not today, but something they can work toward.
That is a good question. When somebody comes to us and their credit score isn't high enough, or their debt-to-income ratio is too high, we refer them out. We've had homeowners that applied 2 and 3 times. We had one gentleman who, his 3rd time, he finally became a homeowner. We referred him out. He got the help he needed. He reduced his debt to income and cleaned up his credit, and he eventually became a homeowner. So yeah, we don't just give you a hard no. We say, not now, but here's how you could make that happen. Yes?
I also just want to say that as a secondary to that, I was very much afraid of like, okay, I didn't have a good credit score. I worked really close to get myself over a 550. When I wasn't where I needed to be, I had a collection I needed to pay off. I needed some debt I needed to pay down. They walked me through every aspect of that process and told me what I needed to do and how I needed to get there. It was exactly 1 year's timeline from when I applied to when I was 18.
Anybody else? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Very informative. Next is Bill Lazar. He is the Executive Director of the St. John's Housing Partnership. Bill, please tell us about yourself and
Thank you, ma'am.
organization. Thank you.
Do you want me to do that? I'll make your life easier.
It keeps jumping. That's the problem.
That's technology. It doesn't like us.
Sorry.
That's okay.
So you can see.
I'm Bill Lazar. I'm the director and founder of the St. John's Housing Partnership. I'm a state-certified residential contractor, and so the Housing Partnership operates under my license. We have been doing this for 28 years. I moved here to St. Johns County 30 years ago. Back when you could buy a lot in Lincolnville for about $30,000, and you could buy a house here for $100,000. Things have changed a little bit. Impact fees, we once told the county when they hit $2,000, people are going to be struggling for affordable housing. Now, Melinda, our affordable impact fees are $14,000.
Currently, they're going up.
And they're going up. Now, the St. Johns County has done some things. If you have a household that is earning less than 80% AMI, they will reduce the impact fee by 50%. If someone is earning less than 50% of the area median income, they'll reduce it by 100%. So that's a help in just that dealing with that whole price tag. The Housing Partnership has been around, like I said, for 28 years. Our primary business activity has been helping people who own their homes fix up their homes. And we do it with a variety of volunteers, government programs, state programs like SHIP, like the Federal Weatherization Program. And the idea is to help people remain living in their house without having it fall down around them. So we look at a variety of ways to improve accessibility, improve energy conservation, and do things that either lower their maintenance costs or lower their utility costs just so they can remain living independently in their own home. For most of us who have parents that are aging out, you'll always find out your parents, the last thing you want to do is move in with you, admit that they're struggling or anything else. But we have a lot of older houses in our community, And to be honest, if we don't help people take care of them, the rental investors are going to take them from them. Insurance is just pricing people out in many different ways. If you've got a mortgage, you have to have insurance. And if you're limited income or if you've retired and are trying to survive on income, it makes it even harder. So the Housing Partnership is there. We work on 200 homes a year, probably, our home repair business. And it's usually finding grants. We're one of the United Way agencies, just like Habitat. And we all look for different ways to strategize, to raise money in the community, pull out volunteers to help keep costs low, but everything we do is designed to keep people remaining living in their own homes. We also build a few homes a year. Our challenges is more related to just the time it takes to find it and find something that's reasonable. One of our most recent houses that we bought the lot in West Augustine for $60,000. That gave me heartburn because 20 years ago I was paying $5,000 a lot. And incomes haven't changed anywhere near that much. We expanded about 15 years ago into the rental market. We own and manage 80 scattered site rental. Most of them are single family homes. And there's a variety of sort of small duplexes, triplexes that we also manage. That's one of our biggest challenges in St. Johns County, simply because people can't afford to prepare to buy a home when they're paying too much on a rental property. And these days, if you don't know already, it practically takes a bank loan to move from one rental property to another. So we're trying to figure out how to keep that. We bought a lot of homes during the foreclosure. We look for special financing that helps us with things. We own 4 USDA multifamily properties. Those are programs that are funded by the federal government. We bought one just recently in Green Cove Springs, says for low-income seniors. And the only reason we could pay $4.5 million for it was because the federal government gave us 1% money. None of my friends in the banking industry want to give us 1% money. I haven't figured out why that is. But that's what makes the world go round. And that property was set aside for seniors, and those seniors only pay 30% of whatever their income is. So it makes a big difference when it comes to that. And when someone said, why are you buying this in Green Cove? I said, there's 2 reasons. One is that it's an important asset in Northeast Florida for any low-income senior. And 2, if we don't have housing here in St. Johns County for some of our seniors, they can at least move to Green Cove and be close to where they came from. We've recently, did it again. We've recently begun building new rental property, and that's really as we can find it, as we can figure out and everything else. Housing is essentially a math problem. And housing is always looked at in one of 2 ways. It's charitable efforts to help people who don't have enough money to take care of certain things, and it's economic development. Everybody in this room has probably got employees or subcontractors that work with you. And if you ever want to just sit and think about this for a minute, look around the room and say, who could I do without? Because for the most part, none of us hire anybody that you don't need. Maybe if it's family, maybe you're going to keep family. But for the most part, they've got to be part of your business plan. And you have to look and say, if COVID taught us anything, essential people, essential employees are just about everybody in the company. Because if they don't do it, you've got to do it. You're not going to go out and make new deals. You're not going to go out and expand your business. If you've got to run the cash register, if you've got to get sure that the rooms get cleaned or whatever it is. So our big challenge is that housing is a major part of our economic infrastructure. And St. Johns County is a perfect example of what's going on across America. Because we're the tip of the iceberg. We're one of the fastest growing counties in the state. 2 years ago, we were permitting 500 single family homes a month. Some counties weren't doing that in a year. We're one of the highest per capita counties in the state of Florida. Well-to-do people are moving here. Successful entrepreneurs are moving here. Working class families are not moving here. So when you have a new business like this, one of their business plans is, where's the workforce going to come from? And that's a long-term sustainability issue, because we've got to figure out how to help people remain living there. And we've got a community where there's a growing sentiment. They don't want new construction. They don't want new land cleared. But at a certain point, you've only got so many people that currently live here. And if they can't fill those positions, your business isn't going to thrive. If your business plan was serving 3 meals a day and you can only staff it for 2, the bank's not going to like that after a couple years. I mean, so those are the kind of things that we always have to look at. Let's see if I get this right. I'm not going to talk a lot about some of my slides because I think Caitlin and Melinda did a great job. The housing goal is 30%. If your income is whatever it is, take 30% of that. That's what you want to try and pay for housing. The big challenge is that that doesn't work these days. I mean, for a lot of people, that's why America has a housing challenge. But when you look at it, the big challenge ends up being, how do we make the math work? Because you've got employees, you can only, at a certain point, you have to sit and say, I can only pay so much for this particular position. I can't pass it downstream. Hamburgers may be $15 a piece now. You can't sell them at 30 bucks a piece unless you're kind of doing something very special. So you have to think about it, though, and the issue is when it comes to housing, and when you hear about affordable housing in the rental market, it's very different from affordable housing in the home ownership market. But the rental market, there's two kinds of affordability. One is whoever that landlord property owner is, they've agreed to set their rents at a certain rate. Now, anybody who manages rental property will tell you, I can't just rent to anybody. If I need $1,000 a month here, I can't rent it to somebody who's only making $400 a month. Okay, the math doesn't work. So any landlord is going to review your income and say, if you're close, that 30, 40%, if you got decent credit score, you're going to be okay. So when you see some of these rental properties that are set aside for people under 80% AMI, $2,200 does not fit St. Johns County's wage scale. There are some people here that do, but the majority of our workforce can't do that. But that's what that landlord, that property owner got some kind of an incentive, and for a certain number of people it will work. When you get down to trying to help someone at 50% AMI, which is your housing math, that rent may be very similar, but that's if you're at 50%. Maybe if you're at 48%, you're okay. If you're making 30% of that, you're not going to be allowed to rent that unit, so it's still not helping our lower income wage workers. This is some statistics from the University of Florida Schimberg Center. There are 13,000 families in St. Johns County who pay over half their income for rent. Now, if you're making $100,000 and you're spending half of it on rent, you still got $50,000 to live on. If you're making $25,000 and you're spending half of it, you're struggling for groceries, medication, forget daycare. I mean, at that point, it becomes impossible. But this is part of what our workforce is facing, and this is the challenge we have as a community. This came from the University of Florida Schimberg Center. These are people who probably work for some of y'all. They may be the business partner that gets your lawn mowed. They may be the folks who come in and clean after hours. It may be any number of different things. But these are the folks who are struggling in St. Johns County right now. People talked about financial literacy. That is the starting point for any kind of affordable housing. And it's just, you can't turn 2 nickels into a quarter, but you can help people try and make good decisions. And St. Johns County has a homebuyer education program that offers financial literacy. Most of your lending partners have people that can do short classes on how to manage a checkbook. I would like to recommend both my children to do that. You can't sit there and tell people that this is what you got to manage without giving some advice about who to pay first. What's really important when you have credit card debt. Try not to run it up. How do you manage that? A lot of folks don't know. When I was a kid, we had life skill classes where they taught us about managing a checkbook. Dr. Joyner years ago told me in St. Johns County, we don't do that because all this core crap testing that we have to do phased out the life skills test. They don't do it as much as they used to. In some communities, they still do that. But we've got lenders in our community that know it. One of the things that I think Melinda and Caitlin both brought up, and someone asked a question, is you can go to any business in this town. I said, I've been doing this for 40 years, actually. But you can go to any business in this town. We have had stories on the front page of the Record, on the internet, Habitat homeowners, Housing Partnerships homeowners, all sorts of stories like that. And I can tell you, every business has someone sitting at the front desk who never heard about down payment assistance, who goes online and uses the mortgage calculator and goes, I'm never going to be able to buy a home. They don't know about special interest programs. They don't understand how to do it. They don't need to go to the sign on the pine tree that says, I'll fix your credit for $350. They need to go to the people in our community who offer that as free advice to stabilize our community. We have lots of competition in trying to do this. When you're a high housing cost market, when you are the place to go because we're on 45 different top of the country lists, everybody who is here, people who are longtime generational families, They are telling you that we have a community that's over 450 years old, and they have generations that have been here for that long, and they are telling you their kids can't remain living in this community. That is fundamentally wrong. How we fix it is really hard because the value of land is what it is, and we're competing with people who move here that, in my opinion, have more money than common sense. But that's what our workforce has to compete with. When it comes to affordable housing, you have to understand one thing. I don't care what anyone says. I'm a member of the St. John's Builders Council. I've been part of that for 25 years. The free market cannot build affordable housing without partnerships. It is impossible to do it when you start talking about households that earn less than 80% of the area median income. It is just a simple math problem. You can't buy land, hold it for 2 or 3 years while you go through your development business, put in infrastructure, pay for the infrastructure for another year or two, and then start building houses or apartments and expect to be able to still keep that affordable. Any banker in town, because I talk to them all the time, goes, Bill, we're not going to do that with you. You can't do that. You're not going to keep them under $300,000. You've got to find special ways to do it, and you need partners. You know, I think that government's role is putting in infrastructure. I'm in a minority, especially talking to people in government, because they look at it and say, we've told the taxpayers we're going to spend less. Infrastructure is expensive, but is the single biggest way to keep affordable housing affordable is if you don't have that buyer having to pay for the cost of infrastructure. And we need everybody. You know, builders and developers, everybody says, well, make the builder do it. Well, Jim Davidson was someone I used to go talk to once. He developed the World Golf Village. Jim said, builders will build dog houses if we can make a living at it. But you have to be able to make a living. You have to be able to support your family. That is what all of us are trying to do. So you have to say, you can't just put it on a builder and say, you got to build a house that somebody can afford. If the math doesn't work, that's where social engineering comes in. That's where down payment assistance programs come in. Those lenders in the room know about the Hometown Heroes program that Florida has, which is a down payment assistance that's around from the state. It kicks off in July, and we're probably out of money by what, September, Nidra? Yeah, I mean, they put $50 million into it, and it's gone in 3 months. That's the demand that exists in our community for housing. So these are some homes that we built over in the Volusia, Avery Street neighborhood. These are a couple of the multifamily properties. Multifamily property, if you have anybody who's trying to build affordable rentals and make it work, the only reason it works is we had a donor who wrote off the debt service. Ameris Bank gave us a mortgage, or they gave us a construction loan to build a 6-unit apartment complex, and they kept looking at me and go, how are you going to pay for this at the end? Well, rents are going to be $1,400 for a 1-bedroom. I mean, at the time, that was what we were allowed to charge. It didn't make sense or anything, but it works now because rents are around $1,100 a month, but we had a donor who paid off our mortgage, so I have no debt service. That's when it works. If you try and do affordable rental, and it's got a debt service and it's got an interest rate and you're refinancing it every 3 to 5 years, it's not going to happen. Government has to step up and help. So we try and do a lot of things. Fixing up our existing housing stock is a big part of that, simply because if you can't build new, we got to preserve what's here. And if we can help families fix up and take care of their properties, there's much less of a chance that they're going to be forced to sell to a rental investor who's then going to turn it into an overpriced rental. We use a lot of volunteers simply because it's one way to do it. Volunteers love all of you. I probably worked with half the people in this room or your companies at one point in time. People want to come out and make a difference. So getting someone to build a wheelchair ramp, getting a group of volunteers to paint the outside of someone's home. We just had a Keller Williams group that came to one of our apartment complexes for seniors, and they just spent half a day walking around, meeting people, brought them lunch. But these are seniors who are able to remain, they live in our community. They pay 30% of their income, and there's really only 2 ways they leave. They leave feet first, or they leave if they're Baker acted. Other than that, they are remaining there because rents don't go up. They only pay 30%, but that's the magic of having affordable housing programs. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. The biggest challenge is just that you've got to have partners. You can't expect anybody. Habitat can't do this without help with infrastructure, whether it's a tax credit program, whether it's a donor in the community. But If we don't do this together, it's not going to happen. So whenever someone says, well, yeah, we hope they have, if the only developers doing affordable housing are nonprofits, you've got market failure. So that's kind of where we are. We need people to talk about these programs. When I first started doing this, I thought every bank was the same. Banks have different housing programs. They have different interest rates for first-time home buyers. Most of you in here have no idea what 2 different banks might offer, but your employees need to. And you need to be looking around that room and saying, who do I want to tie to a mortgage? Because the sooner I tie them to a mortgage, the better chance is they're not leaving. The housing partnership, we put 5 of our employees into their own homes. We bought 2 or 3, fixed them up, and helped them get financing for it. We built one for another one. 3 of our employees rent from us because I don't want them leaving. I can't afford to retrain. That's one of the things that people look at is there's something called employer-assisted housing. And everybody kind of grimaces when you go, what do you mean? You want me to help out? We've already got employers here that do it. I've had restaurant owners call us up and say, my chef is renting from you. If he has any problems, you let me know, because I don't want him leaving. He's within 10 minutes of the office. I don't want him leaving and going to work somewhere else, so I'll help if he gets into trouble. I know builders and small contractors here that have bought rental property and they rent to their own employees. And they've come back to me and said, how are you doing this? Because my insurance just went up, but I can't raise the rent on my guy. I said, yeah, I know. That's the problem. But that's what we're all dealing with. There used to be years ago, Baptist Hospital had a $5,000 down payment assistance program of their own for nurses who would buy a house in Jacksonville, and they did it for one reason. They wanted to cut down on their rehiring and retraining costs. And if $5,000, and it was forgiven after 5 years, it made the difference in stabilizing the nurses that they were hiring. So those are the kind of things that if we don't do anything else, you find people doing it because they have to. So we're trying to figure out how to get us all together to look at finding land, figuring out infrastructure, building what we can. The critical part is getting your employees to go through housing counseling now, to talk to someone about managing their budget. Melinda and I were talking, they have 90 lots in the next 5 years. Okay, the rule of thumb is 1 out of 10 people are ready to buy a house when they come before a housing program. That means they've got to see almost 900 people to go through, and some of them will start and they'll drop out and they'll come back. But you can help encourage that. You can spread the word about these housing programs. You can spread the word about who offers financial literacy, because that's what's going to stabilize our community. There are people in every office where y'all work that have no idea they could buy a home. They just keep looking at that mortgage calculator on the internet and going, I'm toast. So that's all I have for the moment.
Thank you, Bill. Any questions? Yes. Isabel?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you feel about tiny homes and manufactured housing?
We need anything and everything. Tiny homes are nice. They are not as cheap to build as a triplex. There's anything like that. So they're great. They also work for certain people. I would not put a young family into it and think they're going to grow into the house. So everything, it depends. Tiny homes also, one thing I've learned with housing when it comes, you talk about density. If you get 12 units, that might be a density bonus. That doesn't tell you whether that's a 1-bedroom apartment, a 3-bedroom apartment, or a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. That still counts as 1 unit. And it's very different when you talk about these density bonuses, and when you talk about trying to do things, you've got to figure out, it may fit for some people, and at a certain point, we have such a need. The Chamber's report says we have, a deficit of 13,000 units, and that's at the higher end of our workforce. That's not even counting the folks that are retired living on limited incomes who worked here all their lives. They're not counting the people who are making less than $18 an hour. So there's a huge need. Anything might work. The tiny homes, it worked in Jacksonville real well out at Navajo Village for one simple reason. Ms. Weaver wrote a check for $5 million. That works all day long. You can fix housing with one simple thing, 1% money. I don't care what anyone says. If housing is a national issue, there's one simple way to fix it. You say this is money that is only available for households under 80% AMI, and what you would find in some cases is we would rebuild our small builder community. We lost 40% of our small builders in the last recession. They're like me. They got old, they got tired, they got worn out, whatever it is. They didn't come back. Those are the folks who used to build affordable housing. Now it's the big box builders who build most of it, and you can't compete with them. You know, and they're not an affordable housing solution. They may try to just to get some of the incentives from local government, but that's not your long-term solution.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for our speakers. One more resource that I learned recently about is the United Way also provides an emergency homeownership program. If you're already a homeowner and you have your car breakdown and that month you cannot pay your mortgage, you can step in. So reach out to United Way also, as well as a complimentary surrounding program.
Yeah. And out here, we have nonprofits in our community. I can't even count how many there are. And they are all trying to help people stabilize our workforce in different ways. I'll tell you one thing. The Hometown Heroes program is a wonderful program. It lists occupations that get down payment assistance. For whatever reason, construction workers and nonprofit employees are not part of that group. And if you look in our community at who is making some of these things work, we're not taking care of our own nonprofit employees well enough. Because I'll tell you, as the director of one, I can't afford to have any of my folks leave because they know who to call to ask about a particular program, to find that United Way agency that'll help you with your broken down car. Rental assistance these days is really a challenge. Used to be that you could get rental assistance. If you got a month behind, you could go to a couple nonprofits, depending on whether you're elderly or with kids, and you could get $1,500 to catch up. Now, being 2 months behind, you need $5,000. The nonprofits don't have that. Their budgets haven't increased. They're begging for more dollars. So now you find 3 nonprofits partnering to help one person. So it's become much more challenging. Our nonprofits are a critical part of our community. I can tell you right now, the overwhelming majority of them underpay their employees simply because they've got some funder who says, well, you got to keep your, keep your costs down. It's like if you don't keep critical employees, you're not going to be able to provide that service. And our nonprofit folks do work that nobody else wants to do. We do it for less money, and we're expected to do it better than the folks that would have been doing it otherwise. So pay attention to them, see what they do. But they've all got amazing services. Whether I don't want to talk about how amazing hospice is and what they've done. Y'all have helped several friends of mine. No one else wants to do that. You know, what they do, it's amazing. So anyhow, any other questions?
I have one.
Uh-oh.
Is there a collective resource, let's say a website, in which we can direct employees as well as employers to go to, say, if this program doesn't work, maybe this one would work?
I'd like to just say something. I work at the St. Augustine across the street, and we spent the last 2 years putting together a St. Augustine Cares website that has all of the nonprofits on it.
It is, when it comes to listing nonprofits and knowing what we do are almost 2 different things. Figuring out all the ancillary partners that are part of a housing solution. At the statewide level, there's a group called the Florida Housing Coalition. They have a great website with a list of resources and publications. They see people all across the state, local governments that try and find housing solutions. So that's one. St. Johns County has a housing and community development staff. On there, they've got a section for first-time homebuyers. That they have a funded position for first-time homebuyer counseling. So you have some of those. It changes. I asked one time, what I would really like is to have a matrix of every lender in this county who offers any kind of affordable housing programs. And the big problem with that is that they change. So, but that's what we need. So usually I go to a housing counselor to say, do you know who's got programs that might have better interest rates, something that will help? I found one of the banks the other day does 100% financing in certain rooms. One of them has a 5.3% interest rate. You've got to keep shopping that around, and that is a time-consuming task. but it's worth its weight in gold if we can then direct those key employees to go look for it, because their uncle may not be the best person to go to for a mortgage.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you. Thank you all. You know.
So I was just going to answer your question. So
Oh, great.
HUD, and so we actually have a resource locator on our website. So it's actually resources.hud.gov, and you can actually go on there and there's a list of resources like in your area. So you can, we're out of Jacksonville, so I'll use that as an example. You put Jacksonville, Florida in, it actually will come up with all the resources, nonprofits, HUD subsidized housing and things like that. So that is an option too.
Wonderful.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Alicia, and I'm with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. I'm actually the field office director for the state of Florida. And we came here invited by Bill, and he told us about how we're going to be discussing this topic. And we just so happen to be working on an affordable housing roundtable, affordability roundtable on the 6th of this month. So we want to invite all of you also to follow up some of this discussion with some real nitty-gritty solutions and overcoming some of the various barriers. That's why I asked about manufactured housing, because I have a wonderful project that I'm working on in Jacksonville related to manufactured housing. In fact, our FHA commissioner is coming down, and the Jenny Mae president is coming down for that event on the 29th of this month. So I'm inviting all of you because we know that it's tremendous challenges for all of us to deal with affordable housing, attainable housing, workforce housing. So we are working diligently at HUD to address some of these challenges with partners. And one of the things that Bill said that is key is partnership. And there's various ways to create partnerships to address this need. And so again, on the 26th, right here in St. Johns County, we're going to have an affordability and housing roundtable to discuss with some of our leaders about how we're going to address it. So this will be a follow-up to this, and it will be also a home ownership event where we're inviting our partners to come and share about their programs like Habitat, so that the community is aware of everything that's going on.
Wonderful. Alicia, and where will that look? Where will it be located?
Right now, we're looking at the St. John's Community Center, St. Joseph's Community Center.
Okay. So St. Joseph, June 26th, and the time?
The roundtable is at 9 to 10, and then from 10 to noon, the home ownership event.
Great.
You can also come to me and give me your email or anything, and I'll write it down for invites.
Wonderful.
I'm donations to HUD as well.
Well, thank you. So, you know, this is not just a lot of misconception is about people who don't want to pay or people who are down or you could be one incident away from being in a homeless situation. It can happen to anyone. The information that was shared here is so vital to get outside of these doors. It's important that we share with our community. It's important that we share with our employers, and as well as our employees, that there is hope. There is help. There are people and services that are available, but we also have to do the work and being able to provide them information, this vital information, and keep connecting this way. And so, you know, it's not enough for us to say, oh, there's some options out there, look. You know, let's help them a little. You know, if you are the human resource person, you know, put together a little cheat sheet with all of the resources that we have here. You know, we can help them along the way to get them to the places that they need to be able to get those resources and assistance. I again want to thank our speakers as well as our sponsors, the AC. We are truly appreciative of everyone's contribution today and the input. And let's just keep this conversation going.
Great. Big crowd.